All right, here, I got you. Hold up. Welcome to the second season of Your Favorite Character Sucks, a show where we each argue for our favorite characters in whatever show, movie, book series, or video game we're covering. Is that roughly what we're doing here?
Oh, we all have to put on that voice?
It's hilarious.
Welcome to the second season of Your Favorite Character Sucks, a show where each of us argue for our favorite character in whatever show, movie, book series, or video game we're covering. All right, Matt, your turn.
Now, legitimately though, why are we doing this? Because we already do have an intro for season 1.
Yeah, well, just do it. Just read it.
I'm gonna go for a little different approach here. Who is the best aesthetic and story? Who makes the most sense? And who do we want to hang out with the most?
At the end of each episode, we crown one character the best character, who will then go on to compete in our best of the best finale. On today's episode, we take our time and meander through the long history and myriad of characters in The Lord of the Rings.
Matt, hit us with a couple of Tom Bombadils.
Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
Tom Bombadil.
Tom Bombadil.
Nice.
That's Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil.
The Dunedain and the Rohirrim.
Yes. Rohirrim. Dunedain.
Radagast.
Radagast the Brown.
Saruman.
Oh my God.
Nazgul!
Man, we're giant losers.
Does someone have a pipe they can
In your house. Somebody please smoke your pipe in your fucking home.
get the puffs in?
Who's got a vape? Who's got a fucking vape?
Well, mine's just loaded with crack. But it is a pipe.
Shit.
So, there is that.
All right. So we have two returning guests on this one. We've got Emily from a plethora of episodes at this point. Pretty much just a fourth member of the podcast at this point.
I was gonna ask if there's a 5 Timers Club. Like
There is.
I mean,
you're in it.
You're in it. Yeah, you are the member. It's a very solitary club.
Chris is getting up there
And Chris, well, he did FMA.
Yeah.
Chris, welcome to our Lord of the Rings episode.
Yeah, so they invited me to this one because I also have a tattoo of some Lord of the Rings stuff.
Oh shit! Tell
What
us
do you
more
have?
about that tattoo.
Yes.
I actually don't.
Are you like that one person who had the words from the One Ring tattooed in a circle around their anus?
Oh shit!
That's
That's a good
That's
tattoo
me.
though. Oh, that is
yeah.
actually
Someone told
just
me
you.
about that.
yeah, I am her.
Oh, that you.
You are she.
Yeah.
Hello?
She is you.
Oh,
That
what's
sounds
up,
like a
Rick?
painful tattoo, Chris. Did that hurt?
No.
I just had like
No,
10
not at all.
seconds of pure silence, but I'm assuming y'all
You
were
missed
talking.
erotic speak of
that's not a
Chris's
good
asshole
sign.
piercing.
John won't he won't stop talking about my butthole.
I mean, that's
Oh.
pretty normal.
It is the One Ring to rule them all, is what I'm saying.
And in darkness,
Chris
find
calls
them.
it. Chris calls it his Radagast the Brown.
Jesus.
I'm hanging up.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. It's been
Good
real.
sesh.
We'll catch you on the next one, yeah?
Oh boy.
Yeah. See you guys later.
But, we come here to talk about Lord of the Rings, so let's stop bringing up Radagast.
More
He's such
specifically, the characters. Yeah, Radagast the Brown's a character.
He was
well,
mentioned
I guess
literally
he's in the Hobbit,
in
huh?
one line, I want to say, of the...
Yeah,
Because
he
he
shows
doesn't
up
even-
and tells Gandalf to go see Saruman. That's it.
Yeah, his dumb ass is too unaware to realize that he's leading Gandalf into a trap. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
fuck that
doesn't he
guy.
also send the eagles though?
I want to
I
say...
haven't gotten that far.
I want to say maybe.
Someone can look that up, but let's start with. We've introduced ourselves. We've made sure everyone knows
Have
who
we?
we are. Yeah. Well, they know Matt, Bran, and John.
Certainly by this point, yeah, I suppose.
And now, we introduced Chris and Emily, so now we're ready to go.
All right, let's do it then.
Does anyone feel bold enough to go first?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. I am deciding on my character right now.
Wait, you telling me you let this off to the last possible
Damn,
minute?
you're pulling a Matt right now.
Wait, first of all...
No, I've done this a lot lately. I can't figure it out. I'm going to go with Gollum, a.k.a. Smeagol. I mean, yeah, you could argue they're different personalities for sure, but that's part of the same character. That's why I picked it, because I thought he was a pretty complex character, especially for a book that was written, 70, 80 years ago at this point right now.
J.R. Tolkien, and like he had a letter correspondence with Adolf Hitler at one point. So like that'll
I was gonna
really?
say, I
Tell me
thought it
about
was
that.
written during World War II.
Whoa.
that'll tell you the age of this book.
The story, hold on. The
Yeah.
story
He
began
didn't-
as a sequel to the 1937. Okay, The Hobbit. Okay, when did it come out though? You
Oh yeah, The Hobbit
stupid
is
Google.
old as shit.
Yeah, shit came out in 1937. So did The Hobbit.
Not that he agreed with Hitler.
Insanely old.
But also not that he didn't agree with Hitler.
Last book came out 70 years ago in 1949.
There you go.
Um,
I picked
so-
Samwise Gamgee.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Nice, straight to it.
That's who I picked.
You think Samwise
Okay.
is the greatest character
Give us a
in all
little,
of
give
the
us a
Lord of
little
the Rings?
taste.
So Samwise, in the beginning of the story, he is literally just employed by the Bagginses. Like, sure, he knows Frodo and he knows Bilbo, but he's not really like. I guess they're friends, But like at the end of the day, like he becomes this beacon of hope that is constantly just like bringing
For
Frodo
sure.
out of the depths, and
He's
like
his,
the
he's
fact
his
that
sponsor.
he's this guy that
Oh
like
shit, he's the
okay.
sponsor.
Would any of you go to the lengths that he went to for your employer? I think not.
But would I do it for my
um,
best friend?
No.
Also no. So
It's a really weird relationship to figure out. Like if I don't know, I wasn't paying attention at the very beginning at the fact that he was the gardener. I was like, why does he keep calling him Mr. Frodo?
Yeah. Does he?
It's so
Yeah. 'Cause
he
annoying.
pays the bills,
but then
dog.
I was like, oh wait,
Mr. Frodo.
yeah.
first of all,
And he's just a
Sean
sweetheart.
Astin does not sound like that. So please, let's not do any more.
He does. He sounds more like he says, "Mr. Frodo."
Yes, he does, Mr. Frodo.
Frodo. It's like, I don't know.
My discomfort is rising.
You can't give up, Master Frodo.
Someone say
There are
potatoes.
so many potatoes.
This way.
Oh, I love Samwise. Is he the superior of the two hobbits in that main storyline? Is he superior to Frodo and Sam? I
Okay,
feel like we can
Well,
talk
no
about
one
that
picked
already.
I'm
Frodo.
just gonna say there is no Frodo without Sam.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, how many times would Frodo have died?
However, yeah, that's true for sure. But as far as
Frodo-
characters go, Frodo's also a pretty interesting character. I'm surprised no one picked him.
He is.
Wait,
well,
I
spoilers.
think he gets
We still
spit on
got-
a
we still
lot.
got-
Because
three more
you said
people
you were
to-
picking an elf.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Tell us who you picked, guys. Go.
So I actually had a hard time. I had a hard time picking. It was either going to be Gimli or Merry and Pippin as a pair, and then I decided. I made a pros list for all of them, and Pippin got the longest list, so he won.
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Now, Pippin is my favorite
Yeah.
Hobbit.
Really?
Wait,
He's hilarious.
is Pippin the one that stays with Denethor?
Yes.
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 Oh, well, then he's the best for sure, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
he sings the
he is.
song.
Yes.
Yes, and as I've admitted in all the other podcasts, I cried in this too. Especially when he was singing.
Dude, that
God,
shit
it's
is
so-
sad, though. No, it's sad.
It's haunting, like beautiful. Yeah.
And all the while,
Yeah.
Denethor's literally just on that tomato.
Yeah.
So gross.
Literally
He's
juices
so
dripping down
gross.
his face.
It's fucking
people are-
filthy. I hate that
This,
kid.
the scenes like cutting to the battlefield, so epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
People
badass.
dying. His son dying, right? His son's
He
getting
sent
like
his
killed
son to death, basically, and he barely survives.
because he's a piece of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. He was just angry that Boromir died, and then he was like, Faramir was like, "Don't you wish it was me instead?" And then he was like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah.
Well, that's
God
fucked.
dang.
What the hell, bro? That's so mean.
Yeah.
Time for Faramir, Captain of Gondor, to show his quality.
Yep.
And then
I like that Emily
Yeah.
laughed. Thanks. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
Emily laughs at everything.
everything.
Is that why? Is that why you guys invite her back every time?
Yeah, 'cause she
Yeah,
laughs at
because
our jokes.
Erica liked me the best.
Superior guest. No, superior guest to be sure. Sorry, Chris.
All right, I'm out.
All right, peace, fella.
All right, my next.
So-
We have
Bran?
So, my choice was not difficult because this is part of my Christopher Lee villainous double feature with the Star Wars episode. So I chose Saruman the White, aka Saruman the Wise, later known as Saruman of Many Colors.
Yeah. The artist formerly known as Saruman
Yeah.
the White.
I actually
And
like
I
Saruman in many
posted
colors.
some art here of Saruman in many colors, which you don't see in the movie. It's pretty fly.
For a white guy.
Lord.
Yeah, in the
Pretty,
Discord.
pretty fly for a white wizard.
But anyways, by now it's probably obvious that I'm a fan of a good villain, which is why I went with Saruman. Because I feel like in Lord of the Rings, Sauron, which John, we've talked about this several times, but
Oh, God.
we hate the similarity
Why-
in the names.
Why did he name them Sauron
I
and
feel like
Saruman? So
There's
dumb.
so many similar names where
Well-
he
Yes.
changed the first letter or took
It's
one
so
letter out.
bad.
To be fair, he has a lot of fucking names in his books.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, though, right?
But you shouldn't make the two main villains have such similar names.
So yeah.
Well, if we want to actually go into the Silmarillion, Sauron's name that's like the name that he's been given by men and elves and things, right? He has a Maiar name, I'm sure.
So
What if-
men and elves are stupid.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he does have a different name.
Yeah,
Let me look it up.
he
But
probably has.
I mean,
some sort of
everyone
original
in
name.
Lord of the Rings has multiple names.
It
No,
would be like if it was
Yeah.
like Darth
Sam.
Vader, Darth Vader, and then Lord Savader or some shit. Like it's so insane. Vasader.
Lord Ader.
Like, yeah, it's insane.
take one letter
Let
away.
me just a singular
so-
letter. That's the difference.
But so you like the lower villain Saruman more?
Okay, I don't think he's
Wait, why would you
lower.
call him the lower villain?
That's
kinda
what.
fun.
Yeah, that's what
He's
I'm about
not
to
the
argue.
main villain, right?
No, but I think he's the more interesting villain. Within the
Oh, yeah.
context of Lord of the Rings, Sauron barely even exists. Like, I wouldn't even consider him a character because
No.
he has no dialogue, he has no physical body. The characters never interact with him except for like that one scene in the movie where he's like, "I see you." Other than
Yeah.
that, literally no dialogue. He's just
You're
a
absolutely
tower.
right.
He's more, he's
Yeah.
an entity.
He's just an embodiment of evil that kind of controls the army, but he's not really a character.
The flashbacks to him in that like the huge armor, just like swinging a hammer, freaking messing people up. That is sick shit, right
Oh no,
there.
the
You mean when he's fighting
the
his
flashback is
Isildur?
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, when he fights Isildur and he gets his ring finger cut
Also,
off, I
yeah,
thought,
all
man,
it took was him getting a singular finger chopped off
he
and
had
he's
a little
defeated.
boo-boo on his finger, and that was just it for him.
All right, but Saruman.
So I think Saruman is much more interesting because he's a tangible villain with motivations and goals that are more understandable than just being a force of pure evil, I think.
Yeah,
Because-
his motivations and goals are to just side with the winner, take the easy way
Yeah,
out.
he's
so
he's like
that
what,
makes
an
him,
opportunist or some bullshit.
Yeah, it makes him a really well-rounded individual.
Oh, I
Well,
don't
no,
think
it-
he's a
it
good
makes him
guy
human.
in any way, but I think he is smart. He scries
as a
on
character,
Sauron
he
and
makes sense, though.
he realizes the power that Sauron is amassing, and he
Tell
says,
me-
I'm not going to join the losing side.
Tell me, Brandon,
Yes?
when did Brandon Lee Nash?
Keep going.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
Oh
close.
no, now I'm blanking on it. I got so scared.
This is not the fandom to misquote, bro. You get ripped apart.
Yeah, I know. I'll get torn apart. That's it.
What
Okay.
were you gonna say?
When did? Hang on, wait. Let me do it again.
Okay, I'm
Tell
ready.
me, Brandon, when did Brandon Lee Nash abandon reason for madness?
Thank you.
That's pretty
That was a
good. And then I think my line would be, "So you've chosen death."
Yes. One of those was a lot easier to remember than the other one.
This is the nerdiest episode of this podcast by
It
far.
has to be. It has to be.
I love it though. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
I'll go more into it later so we can get through
Of course.
introductions.
Yeah, no, that's all reasonable. So I spoke a little bit with some of you guys briefly about some of the characters I really like, but don't have a prominent spotlight role in the series. I wanted to pick an elf because I feel like they're really underrepresented. I think people really like the elves, but
Oh yeah.
and I think it's almost wholly because of Orlando Bloom's portrayal of Legolas in the films.
Oh, it's because they're bangable.
Oh
Wait,
yeah.
hold up.
For sure.
Are you implying that people that aren't elves are not bangable?
Less
In
bangable.
Tolkien's world, yes.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. I think maybe he had an elf
You
fetish.
wouldn't smash a dwarf?
But he invented those elves though, right? So
Did he invented the human-size elves?
I think he did. So you think he had like a Santa's helper elf fetish, and then that just evolved into what he turned into elves? Because that's even more
much
fucked.
weirder.
No, it's uncomfortable to think about.
Well, I think elves before him were like tiny little, you know, like you do see like house elves like in Harry Potter. Like they were like that kind of
Keebler
thing.
elves.
And
Yeah, Keebler
Yeah,
elves,
yeah.
like little helpers that build toys. I'm sure there's some
That's
existence.
a whole different creed of elf.
I also think-
yes.
yeah. Did he
The
invent?
hobbits and the dwarves were already so short. He needed to give some more tall people a chance. You know?
I think he might have also invented ints.
Treants?
Yeah,
I like the
there were talking trees before, but I think he invented like the moving and doing things.
You think so? I think
I
that
don't-
talking
I
trees
can't
is
think of
probably
anything
that
else.
sounds like something that could be really archaic. or ancient.
Talking trees existed in like Wizard of Oz and I'm sure of many other things, but like I
Yeah.
think moving around. Anyway,
Anyway, I'm going with Galadriel. I'm gonna do it.
Nice.
Galadriel.
I think I can go with Galadriel. I think there's enough in Lord of the Rings, even though I think the most that she appeared would that be Fellowship, right? In the films.
Yeah.
But she plays a very prominent role in Middle Earth as a whole, not just in the Third Age
Yeah.
or the War of the Ring, but her character is very important, I think, in the history of all of Middle Earth. So I'm gonna go with her.
pardon the small interruption, folks, but we've got a very important announcement from a 2020 presidential candidate. This November, Democrats and Republicans want you to think that you have only two choices. But what if I told you that there's a third choice out there? One that covers a wide spectrum of philosophies and opinions even within his own brain. My precious. Now, when I first heard about this Gollum fella, I was a little bit upset because I heard him talking about raising taxes. But then, he turned the other way and he said that he would lower taxes. I thought, this is a man who can figure things out.
We must get rid of the filthy habits. They take our precious.
Oh, you know, I had a job at the steel mill here in North Dakota for over 20 years, and then up come those hobbits, and they were able to do much more for much less, and able to fit into places that, gosh, I couldn't even get my fanny in. That's why I want to vote for Gollum 2020. He knows that our jobs are precious, and knows that those hobbits need to give them back.
No food, no rest, nothing for Smeagol. Smeagol has to take what's given to him.
Gollum, Smeagol, whatever you want to call him, I call him my president. He's willing to change to get things done. He'll work hard and he'll never quit. Whether he's hungry or thirsty or tired, he doesn't care. He'll get the job done. So, America, in 2020, you don't just have two choices. You've got the one and only choice. Gollum, Smeagol, 2020. That's right, he's his own vice president.
My name is Smeagol, and I approve this message. My precious.
Well, I know who I'm voting for this November. All right, back to the show. I forgot that Aragorn apparently had healing powers, in the book.
He's basically Captain America of Lord of the Rings. He is kind of a
didn't even
human.
realize.
He's like a superhuman for sure.
Yeah, he's a human, but he's also just not a human.
Because apparently in the book, I forgot about this, but he goes from tent to tent healing soldiers magically.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty
Well, because
crazy.
he was also raised by Elrond and
Elves?
learned the elven
yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
That's true. That makes sense.
Also, we are speaking of Aragorn II, so just to clarify that.
Okay, so hold on. Middle Earth is the past of our Earth, right?
I want to say no.
Wait, it's
I'm gonna-
supposed. No, there's no way.
Tolkien was
Is
the
it
guy
really?
who said you should completely separate
Yeah,
fantasy
he
from real life, whereas
He said that, yeah, he did say that, yeah.
whereas the opposite is shown in Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe, right?
Right, well, he's saying that fantasy shouldn't exist adjacent to real life. He was saying,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a doorway or whatever, or
Yeah.
a magical thing.
Yeah.
He wanted it to be an entirely different world. I'll look it up while we're talking about it, but, another thing that I noticed when I was reading the books is that Lord of the Rings, so here's a hint that it might be the same world. They use the same fucking calendar as we do. They use they said July. Like they're like, we'll meet in July. I was like, wait a minute, July named after Julius Caesar? You're gonna meet then?
Let me put it this way, John. In an infinite amount of universes, there's an infinite amount of universes that use the Gregorian calendar. So let's just push that thought from our mind because it is irrelevant. It doesn't.
But you would think with all of the lore that man created,
That's what I'm saying. He couldn't make new months.
No, that's
he
just
spent
hard.
so much time changing one letter at a time in the names that he couldn't.
That's true. That's a good point.
No, that's the touchstone. Okay, that's the touchstone.
But are we here to critique Tolkien, or are we here to talk about the best characters in his series?
I'm
Both.
so ready to defend Pippen. I'm so excited.
Absolutely both.
All right, for sure, partly, yeah.
Well, let's kick it off with Samwise because I think Samwise has the most to talk about out of all these characters.
I do. I think that that he's
could
pretty
talk about,
cool.
We could talk about Smeagol as well, right? At the same time.
Yeah, I'll go into Gollum after this. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gamwise, Sam G's.
Wait.
His evil twin brother.
Yeah, dude.
Oh God.
It's y'all don't know about that one.
He comes from an evil universe.
Sam got the ring.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
So speaking of Sam getting the ring, though, this is probably my favorite attribute of Sam. Is not at one point does Sam ever feel like that pull from the ring that everyone else feels. He just has this this humble aura to him where it's just like, we're going to do this quest and we are going to complete it. And like, it's just so it blows my mind that his willpower, his psyche is stronger than, even Gandalf's or Saruman's at this point, because it's like even they are drawn by its power.
Well,
and Sam is just over here like, let's cast it in the flame and be done with it.
Wasn't that a trait of hobbits?
Hobbits have a resistance to that sort of thing.
I was going to say, I think Tolkien is trying to say something about quote unquote, like low folk or common folk, like that, they're not as powerful as other people, but that they have these great traits and these great strengths too. I think he's like, that's what he's saying when he's talking about hobbits. And I think Sam is the best of that.
They don't crave power and they're not willing to do like evil things to get it.
Specifically about Sam, though, I think it's not even about his will. I don't think he's stronger willed than Bilbo or Frodo. I think he knows better. Because in the last scene in the films, he says, I can't carry the ring. Because he knows that he can't do it. He'll be tempted by it.
But I can carry you.
But he can carry Frodo, so he's just smarter. I think that's the thing. He knows to resist temptation. Because he saw what had happened to Boromir. He sees what is happening to Frodo over years. Because remember, it takes them so long.
No, the journey is so long.
From one side of the continent essentially to the other. So he sees all these things happening to his closest friend and all of his the rest of the fellowship getting broken up, and he knows better. That's what makes him, I think, unique.
But in the book, doesn't he wear the ring too? They never address that.
Yeah, in the book, he does put the ring on to sneak.
Yes, but
after Shelob.
Yeah, he has to take the ring because Frodo is captured.
To hide
You're right. Yeah.
But it's for a very
brief moment. In the book, he puts it on. Which I think would not jive with the movie, because the movie asserts that every time you put the ring on, the eye immediately goes to you. The book does not do that.
I would defend Sauron. You said he is sort of like a faceless entity, but he has agency in other ways. The ring wraiths are actually, I think, really cool in Fellowship.
Oh, they're like an extension of him.
They are,
they're
just
cool.
possessed by him. And they are basically his way of manipulating power in Middle-earth during that time, right? They're just an extension of who he is. They're
but even
agents.
with them, same as Sauron, I think the history of them is cool and the aesthetic is cool, but there's never any human interaction with them.
I guess that's true.
They just show up and kill stuff. They don't talk. They don't assert their will.
Yeah, they're just an extension of Sauron. That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. They're more of Sauron than of themselves. So that's why I don't think
the mouth of Sauron in the deleted scene of the third movie is the only time that you get a servant of Sauron who actually speaks.
Yeah. Well,
Chris, what else you want to say about Sam? Because I do want to talk a little bit about him and Gollum kind of together.
Okay, sure. I think it's really admirable that Sam he's drawn into these situations that no lowling, or I guess a hobbit or someone who isn't trained in any formal combat, isn't trained in anything but really gardening. He's a gardener at heart, and I will say that over and over again. This is a gardener who goes up against a legendary spider creature that is
Shelob, yeah.
Shelob, like 4 times his size, and conquers
Way more
this
than
beast.
4 times, bro.
Yeah, no, it's
You know,
insane.
like this is a monster
Yeah.
of epic proportions, and he takes it down. That's
Can
like
I-
incredible. It's incredible.
Can I also say, is
Yeah.
Shelob the only female evil creature in the whole book?
No.
Like orcs? There's no like orcs females. There's no like female goblins. There's no.
You see scary Galadriel for like 1 second, which is
Yeah,
very
but that's
scary.
not. I'm pretty
Is
sure.
that
I'm pretty
evil?
sure
Is that
Shelob is
evil?
the only
Nah.
villainous female.
There's not even
don't
female
think so.
dwarves. There's like
Well,
Yeah,
barely any females at all in Lord of the Rings.
yeah. It sucks. Like
Doesn't
that
Gimli
is a
talk
flaw.
about that or something?
yes.
How they just
Yeah.
lay eggs? What?
The dwarves, he's like,
Or,
he's talking to somebody about it, about how they think there's like a myth that there's no female dwarves.
People
but
think that dwarves just pop out of the ground.
Wait, but
Yeah.
if he
they
wrote that
live in
into
the
his own book,
mountains, though, right?
he must have seen the critique to that. Like I don't know why he didn't write more female characters in there.
I'm just gonna say this: he hated females.
Even
I
the
guess.
No, for sure, you could tell.
even the Ents, all of their wives
There's no
ran away.
like everything is male dominant in this.
I hate to bring it
And
back,
then-
but he seems like an incel for sure. Even though he has kids. He has
No,
kids.
but then
but-
the Eowyn moment is such like a
Eowyn is badass.
I know.
it's such like a female empowering moment. So it's so weird to go from no
Doesn't she
female
kill?
inclusion until
She
that
kills
scene.
a ring wraith.
Is the Eowyn? Is that moment a? Sorry, I haven't gotten that far in the books. Is that a?
It's in both.
It is in both. Okay, because I wasn't
Yeah,
sure if
but
that was a
she-
Peter
Yeah.
Jackson thing or a Tolkien thing or both.
But her character doesn't get as much like play in the movie or in the book. I mean,
in the book,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
she does slay that guy, but it's like she's not in
Yeah.
the stories that much.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
she
more
also
in the
motivates.
movies.
She also motivates Aragorn to. I think she actually tries to keep him from going to the place of the dead to get those people.
Yeah,
maybe.
she like accused him of abandoning
Abandoning them.
everybody.
Yeah. But that's
was like,
kind of
"Why are you
cool.
doing
She
this?"
she had an interesting character because she's putting up for her people. And she's
Yeah,
like,
no,
I don't want
for
you to
sure.
leave because I
Yeah.
don't want you to abandon our people. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And her people
Oh.
are not just the people of Rohan. It's all men.
Yeah.
So she can see beyond the scope of just nations, right? That makes her cool too.
So Gollum he's an interesting character because he's like, besides like Gandalf, I guess, he's one of the only characters that goes from The Hobbit to The Lord of the Rings and really has a huge part in both of them, I think.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I mean, I feel like one of the most popular scenes in The Hobbit is got to be like the riddle scene with him and Bilbo. And I think that character was so like strong of a character that he got pulled into the second book. Or,
I
you know,
remember
to
that
the
from
sequel
the
series.
animated Hobbit. The shitty
Yeah.
animated Hobbit. They put the riddle scene in there, and that's the one
Yeah.
thing I remember best from that film.
Exactly.
Every other part of that film was kind of meh.
No, it's crazy. So Gollum, though, I love him because he is a broken character who has been like, addicted to this ring, just like countless others who have fallen to it. But instead of using it for power, he like took it to the mountains and became, he ran away because he killed his best friend and like sort of became a, what is it called? A pariah, And I mean, without him sort of hiding with
I
that
thought that
ring,
was his brother.
it was either a close friend or his
'Cause
brother.
They were
I
like
can't.
Deagle and Smeagol or something like that.
Yeah,
They're-
but you know how Tolkien
like
is.
the same thing.
Well, Saruman and Sauron aren't brothers, so I mean, it's the same shit.
That's true. That's true.
But
well, and he was
but anyway-
exiled too. It wasn't his
He
choice
was.
to leave.
No, that's true. But so he's off on his own, and I mean, without him being off on his own with the ring, it could have been discovered a lot sooner. So that's part of the story too.
So I was like considering this as a Hobbit thing because we talked about it with Frodo and Sam. Because and Bilbo, you could say it about all of them that held the ring. I feel like the longer they had it, the crazier they became. But the hobbits were the ones, they're not seeking power in the first place. They're just chilling in the Shire.
That's why
They
hobbits
have
are better.
no drive to be the most powerful thing.
They don't even have
So it's
greed
like-
or any understanding of material wealth.
It kind of drives them crazy, but I think that's the reason why Sam was able to, he wasn't drawn to it. I think he was seeing what it was doing to Frodo, and it's like he was just reaching out.
He stayed off that crack
He
pipe.
couldn't. Yeah, but then Gollum did such a good job of sabotaging that friendship a lot
Yeah.
that that
Well,
Frodo
and
was
with the help of the
second
ring.
guessing Sam.
So
With
that's
the
what I
help of
wanted
the
to
ring,
talk
obviously.
about. So in the book, and in the movie, Gollum, he's a broken character when they find him, and I mean, he's really just trying to get that ring back. And they beat him up and tie him up, and they force him to tell him where to go. Which, by the way, that's another important part about Gollum is without him, they can't get to Mordor. They can't get to Mount Doom. Like they
That's
needed
true.
that dude, and he helped them a
Well,
lot.
if they didn't have him, they would have just had eagles.
Yeah. There's a reason why I was going to look that up too, but there's a reason why the Eagles don't come. I was reading something about that recently. But anyway, what was I saying? Gollum, he leads them there. He actually is like leading them, and he really likes Frodo because Frodo is relating to him, and he feels like he can relate to Frodo because they've both worn the ring, and they're both hobbits, and Frodo pities him.
Frodo's kind to him.
Frodo
pities
opens
him,
up to him. Yeah.
And
I
Gollum
specifically, I specifically wrote down that Frodo always calls him Smeagol and Sam always calls him Gollum.
Yes, that was a good
That is, I
observation,
think, the
yeah.
one downside to Sam, in my opinion, is that Frodo, after talking with Gandalf, is willing to show mercy
Yes, it's
to
insane.
Smeagol, but Sam at no point ever trusts him.
No, Frodo.
Yeah,
and
but
Sam was right to.
Sam was right in the end. Yeah,
He
no,
was-
Sam
he
was
was
absolutely
right
right.
to.
But
With good reason.
I think Frodo is a
No,
really
but
strong character.
Smeagol was able to banish his evil side temporarily until
He was.
beaten by people who didn't trust him.
That's what I was
Yeah.
going to say. Is he was doing a
He's
really
a
good job,
victim.
and he's a victim. And then
Of men.
whenever they brought him in front of, God dang it, Faramir and his men, and sort of betrayed him. Because Frodo kind of goes, "Come on, Gollum, you can trust me," and Gollum's like, "Okay, cool." And then he gets captured by those men and caged and stuff. That's when he's like, "Fuck
Exactly.
you, Frodo." And
that's
then,
when he
and
ends his
that's-
friendship with Frodo because
That's when he ends his friend. Yeah,
felt like
and
betrayal.
so Gollum, he was planning on helping them, I think, to the end, and then he felt betrayed, and that's when he turned on them, and that's really when the Gollum versus Smeagol stuff starts coming out more and more, and you know, and it's really cool. But the Sam moment that I wanted to talk about with Gollum that's in the book, but it's not in the movie, and I got chills when I was listening. It was so cool. Sam and Frodo are like beaten and downtrodden. They're about to give up. Like they just feel exhausted. And Gollum's with them too. And Sam starts telling Frodo this story. And he says, it's a really like meta part too, because it's like the end of the Two Towers and like shit is going really bad. And as a reader, you're like, damn, dude, this is dark, you know? And Sam basically tells him, he says, you know the part of the stories with like heroes where like, when you're a kid might want to close the book because they don't want to read it because it's sad and scary. But this, he says, this is what Sam says. I'm telling you, I'm quoting Sam here, or paraphrasing Sam. And Sam says, he says, but the story isn't over yet, Frodo. We could be the heroes in that story who, it looks like we're down and out, but we can persevere and get through it. And then he also says, I think Frodo asks him, he's like, Gollum might be a hero of the story too. And Sam goes, yeah, I mean, Gollum might think he's a hero. And then he turns and he goes, hey, Gollum, or, do you think you're a hero? And Gollum is gone. And that's the moment where he goes to betray them. And I got chills because I was like, dude, they're talking about like who's the hero of the story, and Gollum is gone whenever they ask him if he's going to be the hero. It's such a cool moment.
Telling me that's better than the other Sam Gollum moment?
What's the other Sam Gollum moment?
Where they beat the shit out of each other?
Oh, I was talking about potatoes.
Oh, well, yes, that.
That was less memorable for me. But
What's taters?
what's taters?
Taters, eh?
You're telling me boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew isn't more memorable
That's
than
one
whatever
of the
shit
most
you just
classic
said?
lines in the whole trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
I'll
going to
just
let someone
say,
else.
like, after the. Huh.
I was going to let somebody else go, but I just found more evidence that Middle Earth is Earth. It's a quote from the book that says, elephants are much bigger than their ancestors which roam the earth now. That is written in The Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
So he's saying
You're
that
telling me in this alternate universe they can't be ancestors to elephants?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't- sounds like some weak
just not-
proof.
Middle Earth is
This
the
is some
past
weak
because
shit.
he
Get
says
this shit
that
out of here.
he says oliphants are much bigger than their ancestors which roam the earth now.
This is the most tenuous link
He's
that
saying it.
I think the more interesting thing, John, is you could say that men exist in both Middle Earth and our Earth. That's way
For
more
sure.
important than elephants and elephants.
And elves leave, so it's like, why aren't they here while they left?
Well, humans are in every fantasy and sci-fi
Yeah.
story, pretty much.
How could
Yes, because humans are
wrote
lame.
how
the
could
story.
they film the movies if it didn't happen on Earth?
All right,
Damn.
How could they write the book if humans weren't there?
we talked Sam and Gollum, so who's next?
Yeah. Well, I'm ready for Pippin.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
go. Yeah, let's talk about Pippin. More
Do the small
Okay.
folk, and then we'll get to the
hobbits.
actual powerful people.
Oh God, where does true power lie, though?
In
my
the
staff.
little people.
In power. True power lies in being powerful.
Okay, so Pippin. Well, first, I was getting, I guess the first movie, they offer a lot of comical relief. It's like they have no idea what's really going on around them.
They get them in
And
trouble.
They get themselves in trouble all the time, and everybody actually, because they're like, they show up and they're like, what are we doing, blah, 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 and everyone's trying to be quiet, right? But what I was going to say about all the hobbits is that they all, without considering consequences or anything, they don't second guess it. They're like, well, we're coming too, and they just leave, So I like
no,
that.
I think that's different. I think that's
Well,
what makes
in the book,
Merry and
it's
Pippin different.
Oh,
In the book, I think
Because-
Merry and Pippin join along pretty easily.
No,
but
what I'm saying is most hobbits
Yeah.
don't want to go adventuring.
that's
Yeah.
true.
So
Well,
Samwise
no,
gets to
actually-
the edge of the field. He says, "This is as far as I've ever been." But not even 5 minutes later, Merry and Pippin are just out there. They're
Yeah.
always out there stealing shit and doing shenanigans
Yeah,
stuff like that.
well, I do think that there's a hint though that Bilbo's legend of going out and defeating Smaug has made the younger hobbits more wild and more free.
Really?
Yeah.
I think there is
I don't
sort of
remember
that
but I
thing.
haven't read it for a
because they
while.
look up to Bilbo, the
And
whole
Gandalf.
village throws him that party. Yeah, and they love Gandalf, and they always want to hear their stories. But it also is probably their first experience of
And
it.
Tolkien, I think Tolkien is very much making it he's talking about these are stories that we pass on to the younger generations and seeing how it influences them and stuff like that. Because both of the main characters, Bilbo and
Yeah.
Frodo, are writing books. It's very much about passing on knowledge and experiences to the next generation and making them wiser, better, whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah. So the funny parts that I wrote down at first was that he got really excited to have a full pint of beer.
You'd never had one before?
Because they only have half pints in the Shire.
Is
Jesus.
this at the Prancing
At the
Pony or
Prancing
whatever?
Pony, yeah.
Yes. They're finally at a human bar.
And then of course second breakfast. He always wants to eat food.
Yep.
Who doesn't though?
True
Who
to the
doesn't?
Hobbit heritage.
Nah,
Yeah.
the Hobbit lifestyle is dope.
It's insane.
Yes.
It's the desired
then-
lifestyle.
Yeah,
It's
so
what
even
British
with
people
them-
experienced at the height of imperialism.
All right.
Food.
Way to put a damper
No,
on
because hobbits don't want to leave their area. They're chill to stay there. British people
definitely
wanted to
abolitionists.
abandon their island and invade the rest of the world.
No, they wanted
they
their
did.
soldiers to go do that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the Shire didn't have a standing army.
John,
Alright, so-
John's wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fuck you, John.
Don't ruin my childhood.
They're nothing like the Brits.
All right, so Pippin, yeah,
So I think that he's very brave and loyal to the Fellowship, and he's also just really funny. Like he always has something to say, and he tries to lighten the mood, and then Gandalf gives him this look, and he's like, "You foolish
Yeah.
book." Like,
yeah. But I do love the turn that he makes from funny to more dramatic and important character though.
yes, I think he starts to realize the mistakes that he was making and how big of an impact.
What is that thing called that he fucks with?
The
I
Palantir.
can't remember.
Yeah.
I called it the
Palantir?
crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Gandalf has to take him.
Yeah,
Away
so he's
from the rest
used
of
as
the
a
Fellowship.
distraction.
I think we're passing up a very important pivotal moment with him as well, is when he convinces Treebeard to head towards Isengard to see.
Oh,
No, it's
Oh.
huge.
Yeah.
Is it just
Very
Pippin?
He
or is it
uses
Merry
he
and Pippin?
uses his bluffing abilities, like that cunning Merry and Pippin spirit, to inevitably overthrow Isengard.
Yeah.
It's
They
incredible.
waited for the Ents to have their little
Int Moot.
meeting,
Yeah,
their
Ents
Ents
moot.
meeting, and they did. The Ents were like, "No, we're not going to be part of this." And then Pippin was like, "Wait, go this way," and then that's how they went past and then Treebeard got pissed
Yeah.
about all of the trees being burned down, and he was like, all right, fuck this, we're gonna just kill all these guys. And then I thought it was funny. I wrote down that they were like, when the rest of the Fellowship like found them at Isengard, that they were like dancing and eating and smoking their pipes, and they're just chilling, even though there's still so much left to do.
Yeah, they just fought like this huge battle, and they're just like chilling, drinking some beers.
Yeah, and then that's whenever he finds the crystal, and he's drawn to it. Like, he's so curious, because I think whenever he pulled it out of the water, he kind of felt its power a little bit. So then whenever he sneaks it away from Gandalf and it kind of like takes over him, that's whenever he becomes the distraction.
Yeah.
And then he saves Faramir. He's the one.
Yes. Oh man, I love that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sang for what's that guy's name again? What's Boromir's dad? Denethor. I hate that guy. I don't even want to know his name. So
he's the worst character.
He's so undeserving of this beautiful song, and Pippin's just like, yeah, here you go. And then I also wrote down that they looked really cute when they ran into battle, like after Aragorn was like, let's go.
So
and then it was only Merry and Pippin running at first. They were just like so little next to everybody.
I will say they make Denethor more villainous in the movie. In the book, he's kind of a fine guy until he finds out that Boromir's dead, and then he goes a little crazy. But in the movie, he's kind of, he's an asshole, like it seems like through and through.
Yeah. So I think as far as he is necessary for the plot, because of even some of his mistakes turn out to be beneficial to help Frodo actually reach Mordor.
Pippin's curiosity leads to so many like plot movements, if you will.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Because that's why it ended up not even going with Merry, because Merry's a little more sensible. Pippin's just like there for the party, and shit happens.
He's the wildest one, for sure.
He's the wild card.
Yeah.
Did you have another example, Chris? What were you saying, like another plot movement that happens?
Oh, well, I mean, there's Moria, whenever he, sends the skeleton tumbling down, and awakens all of the goblins, and inevitably the Balrog.
So he gets Gandalf killed.
Yeah. I mean, he does. And he's you can argue he's responsible for the resurgence of Gandalf the White. I mean, Gandalf did a lot of work in that too, but Pippin kind of triggered it.
Gandalf the gay to Gandalf the White.
Yeah, Gandalf the gay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why I like Pippin the most.
Also, let's talk about the actual ending of the book, which is not in the movie, and it's kind of a bummer, honestly, when they go back to the Shire and it's being sacked by Saruman and Grima Wormtongue.
Get it right.
Yes.
Merry, Pippin, Sam, and Frodo like save the Shire.
Which, towards the end of the movie, when they arrive back at the Shire, there's that one guy that was, I guess, whenever the Ring Wraith first showed up.
Yeah.
And they were like, where's Baggins? And the guy was like scared. I think he's the same one that gives them this mean look when they come back. Like, they're not welcomed like they thought they'd be.
Yeah. They're like troops coming back from Vietnam, except that wasn't a reference that Tolkien would have had.
The rest of the Shire has absolutely no idea what they've just been through.
No.
And in the book, there's like 17 years before they actually leave.
Oh yeah, I know. It's
was
such a long time after Frodo gets the ring.
It's
the
nuts.
Fellowship of the Ring is so long in the beginning with nothing happening. It's so long.
It's crazy.
It's very hard to
What is
read.
it that I talked about? How it's unreadable by contemporary standards.
I meant to do this on Shelob, but let me give you the description from the book. You ready? Shelob feasted on the blood of men and elves. She consumed lives and vomited darkness. Isn't that sick? Like, she vomited darkness. It's insane.
Just like
terrifying.
Yeah, a beast of hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
I already don't like spiders. So.
What I'm saying is the book has those kind of nuggets in there that it is worth reading, but the Fellowship maybe not.
And Sam carved that bitch up.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Like turkey dinner over here.
All right. Well, we mentioned
definitely
Saruman
didn't
point that
taking
shit
over the
out.
Shire.
Definitely repelled her.
Do you want to talk about Saruman, Bran, since we brought him into the fray?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, I think he is the tangible villain that was needed.
Besides the Ring Wraiths.
Besides just, like this evil army. And I think it's interesting because he also kind of adds an element of science into it. He is obviously a magical wizard, but he like breeds this new type of orc, the Urukai, which is like a half
The whole
orc.
eugenics shit.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah, it's
No, it is.
inspired by that
And-
for sure.
And he incorporates explosives into his attack plan.
Oh yes, which is weird because he's a wizard. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I think it's really cool that he is sort of combining magic and science to create a superior army. So that's
Also
something
played by Christopher Lee.
you don't get from, the forces of Mordor. Christopher Lee's performance is amazing.
I think they all did a good job. I think all the actors are good in Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah, I didn't mind any of
Oh
them.
no, for sure.
To be honest.
Like, I mean, I saw the movies before I read the book,
Same.
so I guess that influences you. But I can't imagine better casting.
This is where Andy Serkis gets his start as like a legendary fucking CGI actor. Like he's so good as Gollum, and he
He's also
does
got
the
a very
voice.
particular voice. The voices are so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well.
You know, it's good as shit.
No, the
So
voice
well.
is very crazy.
Yeah, I saw him in 13 going on 30,
What?
and I was like,
the
wait a
hell?
second,
What?
that's
Okay.
Smeagol.
Jeez.
That's
See, this is
Caesar.
why this is.
He plays like this gay, I think he's the boss or something, because they work for this magazine, and he's like one of the top guys, and it's just so weird watching him after knowing that he's Smeagol.
Dude,
That's awesome.
He was absolutely shredded in Black Panther.
Was he?
He actually got kind of
Dude,
strong looking,
he
bro.
got swolled up for that role.
He didn't even necessarily have to, but he looked good in that shit. I was surprised.
Dude, all I'm saying is Smeagol would have won that fight up there in Mount Doom if
If
he was
he
shredded
wasn't,
like that,
like-
dude.
Shit.
An anorexic.
He would have
weird
broke Frodo in
hobbit.
half and taken that ring out of there.
Even more for Sam.
And Sam, of
And
course.
Sam, yeah, dude.
He did take that ring though. He bit it right off of Sam.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
Frodo's
that
finger.
was terrifying.
But that's
Yeah.
not in the book. Does he?
No,
wait, no,
it
it
is.
is in the book.
Yeah.
It's the part that
It's a little different.
Frodo tackling him is not in the book.
Right.
It
They
says
added
that
that
he
for like
he's
dramatic
dancing
flair.
around, and not paying attention and falls over.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
which is kinda
actually
weird.
I actually like
Womp.
Frodo tackling him more.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
no, it's
'Cause
much
it's
better.
him like
Yeah.
making up for his moment of weakness.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that if they would have left it as in the book, it would have just been like that was an idiotic thing to
A
do.
little
Yeah.
anticlimactic, yeah.
I also
Yeah, like-
really like the choice to make Frodo not throw the ring in. I thought that was really cool. Like something that I imagine again you won't see in a lot of books that were written back 70 years
Yes.
ago.
Yeah.
It's not as straightforward.
I specifically wrote down about that part that Sam is like yelling at him. That Sam's like,
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, I just carried you up this mountain and you're going to stand here above the lava and like
Well, I was
contemplate
telling
throwing
Matt-
this ring in there. Like,
That final scene where Sam is yelling at Frodo to do it and Frodo says no. It's like a throwback to
Yeah.
Elrond
Isildur
and
Elrond.
Isildur. When Isildur has
Yes.
the opportunity to throw it in, but he refuses, and Elrond is trying to convince him to.
Yeah.
It's like
I
at
think-
that final moment, it's almost impossible to
Whether it
get
was
rid of the
Can't
ring.
part
intentional,
with it.
whether it's
So-
intentional or not, it's such a good like analogy.
I have to imagine it was.
Of addiction?
The shots are so
no.
close.
I'm talking about the whole story is like an analogy of addiction.
Oh, okay, sure.
And Sam is that loving friend or family member who's carrying him up the mountain, but like carrying somebody up a mountain, it doesn't help them escape like from their addiction. You know what I mean? Like they are the ones who have to make the choice in the end.
yeah,
And so,
like, Sam
Yeah, I
did all
guess
the
that's true.
work and then he's expecting
but it doesn't matter.
Frodo to
You
finish
can't-
the job.
So
yeah, it has to be the person. It has to come from them.
I did entertain Frodo. Like, I guess he would be like a runner-up for me because of the fact, like, I don't like to think of it so much as like he's like it's this addiction that he's like just like
He's grappling with.
encapsulated by, but it's this power that like is impossible to comprehend that is enrapturing
Taking
him.
over him.
And like
Yeah.
ultimately I think that's something that I really liked about Frodo's character is he never stopped until he got there, I guess. Like he was
Yeah,
always
did
on the
make it.
path there, and I guess that crippling moment was the moment of destruction. It was like, can I
The only moment
can
that
I
mattered.
get rid of it?
Yeah.
It's hard to
I don't like
we
to
give
think
Sam
of
a lot
him
of
as
credit.
this powerless. Yeah, we give
Like
Sam a lot of credit.
Sam gets all the physical credit, but the like mental turmoil that Frodo's going through the whole time is.
Yeah.
And Frodo decides to abandon the Fellowship after Boromir makes that pass at him. You know,
He doesn't want anyone else to die for
Yeah.
him.
Right.
which is
right.
pretty admirable.
Yeah.
He's very
Yeah.
caring. And,
He was willing to go alone. Like obviously he probably would have failed, but he was willing to try it.
Oh, absolutely would have gotten iced.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
Sam almost drowns himself trying to catch him.
Yeah, that's true. What's kind
but
of interesting about Frodo too is I think that Tolkien really likes this thing where generationally, like every new generation or every new age is always weaker than those that came before them.
Oh, really?
Because if you think about it, how long did Bilbo have the ring?
Yeah.
He had the ring for a really long
A
time, and even though
long time.
by the time he parted with it, he didn't want to. He was able to, and he didn't turn into
Gollum.
someone like Gollum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much stronger do you think Bilbo was than Frodo? Frodo held the ring for a while, but it wasn't the decades that Bilbo was literally in contact with it. Bilbo was just using it too.
But that was also before sort of the draw of Sauron was.
That's what I was saying.
That's true. I guess Sauron wasn't at
Was
his
he,
height.
was he
but
like
I mean,
amplifying the power and stuff like that? You know what I mean?
I can only
Yeah.
imagine the closer you get to the source, like the worse it is. You
That's
know?
what I was gonna say. Like, how far away? Because Gollum, it seems like he was lost in the mountains. Was he closer to the source, and that's why
Oh,
he
for sure.
Well, Gollum also
ended
had it
up
for
the way he did?
600 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gollum had it forever. And the Shire is on the complete other side of the continent. I
Yeah,
understand that
Oh,
there's
it's
some
so far
proximity
away
issues.
that maybe the draw wasn't even as strong for Bilbo that he
Yeah,
didn't
so-
completely lose it like Gollum.
When they go take it from Smaug.
Well, because also, I mean, Bilbo was able to wear it a bunch of times without
yeah, he wore it a lot.
without
True.
any influence.
Yeah. It's almost like the books were written separately and that there was no intention in the first book for that to happen. But yeah.
I think he had the whole lore of Middle Earth written out
He had a
before the
lot of
Hobbit.
it.
I want
He
to
had a
say.
lot of ideas
Yeah.
for sure.
So I'm sure he knew what he wanted to
He had
do.
fucking
in that
Elvish
sense.
languages written down, man. This guy was
Yep.
insane.
But I mean,
yeah.
no, the ring does seem a lot less consequential, obviously, within
Within the Hobbit, yeah. Well, I want to talk about the occupation of the Shire.
I honestly don't know if I like that part.
I mean, Peter Jackson
not?
didn't like it.
Yeah,
It
Peter
is-
Jackson
no,
did not
it-
like that part.
It is an interesting final development for my character, obviously, and it shows that he persisted even after Sauron.
I also heard George R. Martin say that he does not like that ending.
Really?
Because-
What is
George-
the gripe
Yeah,
with
but
it?
George
He
R.
said when
R.
he was a
he
kid,
doesn't even know
he
how to
read it
write a
and-
written ending.
Oh, George R. Martin. He said when he read it as a kid, he felt betrayed. He said that.
Really?
Yes, he felt like all of the ending should have happened. Not that way. He said it should have been a good ending.
But it was a good ending still.
Like, you feel like the ending is the getting rid of the ring.
Oh, okay.
But then if they didn't go back and Saruman was there, then
Oh, you're
They
saying
wouldn't
the
have been
Hobbit
able to
shouldn't have
save-
gone back at all?
When I heard him speaking about it, he was like, I read that the ring got destroyed, and I was so happy. And then I was like, "There's 50 more pages in this book. What's going to happen?"
Yeah.
And he said
No,
he felt
that's what
like
I
it
was
was.
gonna say.
Yeah.
It feels so weird to complete this quest that they've been on for 3 books, and then you're like, wait, what's going on now? They got to deal with
Yeah.
more shit.
it's almost as if they come home to be saviors for the Shire. Because the
that's what
Shire
I
is
thought it was.
such a relaxed place. They don't have a lot of like evil things lurking around.
Well, and again,
And-
it could be like a coming home from war type of story because I mean, did Tolkien not serve in World War
Yeah.
One?
He
He
did.
did.
Like, oh, this is done, we're over. Just kidding, it's not.
Which actually, yeah, that's probably really good writing. Actually, like for
The
The
thing
conflict
is,
is
I
never
see it
over.
yeah.
because throughout the whole War of the Ring and stuff, all the hobbits had a lot of support from very powerful allies and things of that sort. But when they go back to the Shire, it's kind of just like them.
Yeah.
No,
So
yeah,
it's-
it is just the hobbits that save the day.
So I guess
Which
it's
is-
also
which
showing
is-
us how they can rise
Yeah.
to greatness
They don't
even in
need-
their own right.
Precisely. They don't need. They can conquer someone like Saruman. They
Yeah.
can beat him back. Just the
It's
hobbits.
kind of a
That's one of the
testament
things
to
I thought was cool.
how Saruman is just like a little bitch.
Oh God! All right, Brad, get
Well,
back to Saruman.
at this point, he's basically lost his magic power from
Yeah.
Gandalf.
Gandalf destroyed his staff, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of him going back to like the science thing, and he just has like the hobbits like slaving away in his factories or some shit.
He's got like a Gatling gun.
I will say also that, like, whenever I was a kid and I was watching this, it is a scary part when Gandalf goes to Saruman and you're like, okay, Gandalf's about to marshal some troops, and then Saruman betrays him. It's like, oh, fuck. Like, there's a moment where you're just like, oh, shit. Things are not going to be easy now.
No.
Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because you're like, even
Ga-
Gandalf can be taken by surprise.
Not even
Yeah.
that. There's
He's, like,
wizards out there
glorified
stronger
and
than
then-
stronger than
Yeah.
Gandalf.
And
they're
another
not
another
good.
awesome scene when the Fellowship is on their journey in the first one. They're trying to cross through the mountains, and it's Saruman that forces them to go into Moria because he
Yes.
starts to bring down the mountain on
I
them.
love the way they play that out in the movie versus
So
the book.
badass.
It
Yeah.
is so
Yeah, I
cool.
think it's
Yeah.
in. I'm certain it's in the books, but he also like whispers to the wolves. Like wolves attack them in the
And
books too.
he sends like crows and stuff to spy on them the whole time.
In the book,
Yeah.
Carathras, like the way that Gimli describes that mountain is like nature. The wrath of that mountain is its own entity. Like Saruman's never described as the disruptor there. Like, and so I think I do like a lot in the movie that they actually like portrayed it as Saruman being the person, like the influence there. Because it's like just the mountain doing it itself is kind of like, all right, cool, but like actually having that enemy component is like just
seeing Saruman on top of his tower basically yelling across
for
like,
10 hours straight. I love
that.
No, it's insane.
And then
Somebody cue up the 10-hour video.
Yeah. We'll definitely share
the
that
yodeling?
on the
The yodeling
podcast.
video.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're hearing this, then Matt, Bran, and I have already recorded a number of episodes for season 2, and it's been a weird one. Coronavirus has guaranteed that we stay apart and record at home, which might have actually improved the audio quality. But we're still doing just as much work researching and figuring out the best shows to do, and anything that you guys can do to support us is appreciated. You can follow us at YFCS Pod on any of our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you can also become a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/YFCS Pod. We already have a couple of subscribers who've ordered a couple of episodes. The 2 bonus episodes, Dead to Me and Carol Baskin, our thanks to them. But we've also got a subscriber at $10 a month who has ordered a Stranger Things episode. So come join us on our Patreon where you can help influence the future of the show and where you can help to decide what topics we cover. It's not just shows and movies, it's also books and video games, whatever you want. Shoot, Carol Baskin's a real person. Anyway, that's patreon.com/YFCS Pod. All right, we'll get back to the show now. Thank you for listening.
I don't think there are a lot of good female characters, if at all,
oh my gosh, I have so much to say.
in The Lord of the Rings. And I think that it's really weird because in a book with so many figures that are just straight up like larger than life, like immensely magical, so much that it can't really be comprehended, I think Galadriel is still the coolest out of all the characters that are touched on in The Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. And that includes, Elrond, all the other kings of men, all the other kings of elves and things of that sort. I think they're all worse than Galadriel.
Also terrifying, Galadriel.
Galadriel is scary as shit whenever she grabs the ring there for a second. But yeah, let's talk about Galadriel. I don't want to talk about all the history and lore that exists around her because that would literally take forever. But just her brief interaction with the Fellowship. She has relationships with, I think, Aragorn as well. Good relationships with Gandalf. I think Galadriel's really cool for a lot of reasons. One, she's an immensely powerful elf. One of the oldest, if not the oldest, creature in all of Middle-earth, right? During the time, besides maybe some Ents.
She also kind of ends Gimli's racism, which is pretty cool.
She's so beautiful. Her hair shines like the moonlight and sunlight entwined that Gimli is just... At that point, I think he was pretty much cool with Legolas. But yeah, that's at the point where Gimli knew that he could no longer be racist against elves because she's just so amazing. She gives a bunch of gifts without any sort of ask of the Fellowship, just purely to help them, right? She's powerful enough to wield one of the elven rings of power.
Doesn't she give them the light though that they used to defeat Shelob?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Huge gift.
Yeah, that's a
in
big
the
one.
film, she definitely gives them that. I forgot. It's supposed to be like the light of some star that was dragged from Valinor.
Yeah.
And that is a huge thing because they definitely need that to be Shelob. Without
Yes.
that, they can't do
No,
anything.
no.
That and Sting, Sting is also an ancient elven artifact. It's crazy how everything sort of ties back to the elves. I think that one of the reasons I really like Galadriel is she speaks towards an era of Middle Earth that is far more ancient and magical and vast in power and encounters, even than the War of the Ring. So I think that Galadriel sort of stands as a testament of Middle Earth and even further back in the lore. I guess we could talk about Galadriel's ability to resist the One Ring is insane.
But couldn't she?
Yeah.
That's why she didn't take it, right?
Offered it to her.
Frodo said you can have the ring if you want it.
He
Tried to
did.
give that shit up to so many people. Tom Bombadil too.
Do any of the elves have do any of the elves have a hard time trying to take it or
They don't even
struggling
touch
with
it,
I don't
but
think they're there purely to assist
But Galadriel, that's
The
when she
whole
gets
thing.
scary. If she tells him like, if I took
That's
it,
yeah.
because
Yeah,
they know
absolutely.
what it can do and they're like, hell no, I'm not
They have
touching
they
that
have the
thing.
wisdom
Boy.
not to touch it.
That
Correct,
too.
but she does touch it though, and she resists it, and yeah,
they don't
With
get
her
high
in-
on their
in
own
possession, they're
supply
gonna be terrifying.
because they made it. I like the part where Elrond like turns into like 1,000,000 Elrons and is fighting Neo
Oh,
and
Oh, dude, I love that part.
Mr. Anderson.
No, that part's pretty good.
Is
That
a really
part's
good
pretty
part. Anyway,
Pleasant to see you, Mr. Anderson.
So I was looking into the relationship between Galadriel and Gandalf, and I ended up on this website.
oh no, you didn't.
And there's like a comment, like people were asking about like
4chan?
what's their relationship, and someone was like, after being married for N,000 years, Galadriel and Celeborn were probably in an open marriage. Winky face.
Oh God! Oh, my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
That's where I stopped. I just stopped there. I was like, fuck it.
Wow.
She did give
Oh, they're-
Gandalf. She did give Gandalf staff. So
Oh
Hey,
god
that-
damn
is
it.
that
Wait,
sexually
she
transmitted?
gave Gandalf staff?
Yeah,
Jesus.
staff, right?
Oh Lord.
Right after he was reborn.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Little
was a
baby
real-
Goo Goo Gaga Gandalf the White.
Yeah.
Just staffing that boy.
Anyway, oh dang it. I can't even remember what I was gonna say now.
Holy shit.
Okay, are there some honorable mentions? I already dropped Tom Bombadil's
Yes.
name.
Absolutely.
I have yes.
Yeah,
But mine
Go ahead, Emily.
mine goes into lots of things.
Then go for
Guess
it.
first, of course.
mine was Aragorn.
Aragorn,
Aragorn.
he's an honorable mention.
Aragorn
He's pretty
is
cool.
a
So
hugely
is it.
important character.
He is
I love Aragorn.
incredible. Yeah.
In the book, Sam won't let him join their party. And
Yeah,
he
no,
has to
Sam
like
is-
really convince him.
Yeah, it takes Sam a long time
Yeah.
to trust anyone, which I can
Sam
respect
is
that
so
because he's so
protective.
protective. He's got to
He's
make
like
sure.
he's like a dachshund. It's like a little wiener dog.
So yeah, Aragorn, just being this more than man, like the Numenor, Dunedain, like just being who his lineage is in itself is remarkable.
I would
And-
also like to give a shout out to hair in these movies.
Oh, Hair's an
in
important
general,
Insane.
it's specifically when Aragorn accepts the fact that he's like the king and he takes the sword. He all of a sudden has nice and neat hair when it's like past
Yeah.
you and like
He's no
and he
longer
goes
just
in
a
a battle
ranger.
like that.
So
Yeah, he
maybe
goes from like really messy to more king-like, more
Well, same with
fancy.
Gandalf. As Gandalf the Grey, his hair is like greasy and
Oh,
like
fuck.
all
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
muscle.
Gandalf the White.
But then when he's
Love
Gandalf the
Gandalf
White,
the
it's
Grey's
like
look. Don't-
perfectly pristine.
Great, yes. Oh my
whoever
gosh.
did
I-
hair
yeah.
on the Lord of the Rings
I was
films,
like, who
great
does your
job.
hair, Gandalf? Yeah. So, and the elves.
Also, Kate Blanchett's hair as Galadriel.
yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. The elves
You know.
are always pristine, no matter what.
The straightest hair. It's insane.
The little braids, everything, just perfect.
You also wanted to pick Gimli.
Speaking of
Well,
braids,
Yeah. Right. Gimli.
He's sort of
He's not my-
comedic, right?
He's so funny.
In the movie.
So, yes. It
No,
was
the movie is
really
very funny,
difficult
for
to
sure.
not pick him. I seriously, I was just like, I just want to pick like 5 different characters, but
I think he's a
not
cutie
my
pie.
honorable mention. Do what?
I think he's a sweetie pie. You know, he's just like a cute little
He
like
is.
grumpy bulldog.
He's
You know.
so still, I
They're
mean,
all
I still
dogs.
have my pros list from him. He's really stubborn. He's so stubborn, and he's like set in his ways, and it's like through having to be with all of these different people and other creatures and stuff that he starts to realize there's other things outside the mountain.
Yeah. He is like the archetypal dwarf from The Lord of the Rings on, you know, like,
Yes.
For sure.
He thinks he can do more than he physically can. Like he's like, oh yeah, I can do that.
Yeah,
but
he's a
then
bulldog.
he's like, then he realizes, okay, just kidding. I do need your help. So I think he has a good storyline in the movies, at least. I honestly don't remember specific details from the book.
it is kind of fucked that Legolas is just better than him, right? I mean, like, Legolas just owns him all
Hang
the time.
on, that's a Peter Jackson. Like that's him crushing hardcore
No, for
on the
sure.
Legolas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my part of my favorite scenes is just how they keep the battle light and airy with them keeping count.
Keeping count is just what you do. Whenever I was the Zodiac Killer
Yeah.
back in the 90s, I was counting all the time. I was just 1 all the way to 12.
And the elephant,
Cruise?
whenever Legolas takes down the elephant by himself, and then Gimli's like, what the fuck, dude? He's like, that still only counts as one. Like, he
This
just took
still
on
counts
this
as one.
giant thing, and
I like
Yeah,
Gimli too.
Oh, Gimli's
I
awesome.
think there's a lot of parallels between
yeah,
Gimli
it
and
was really
Legolas,
hard
right?
to not pick him. But he's
They're-
not my honorable mention, actually.
They're the-
He
they're
was
the buddy
going to be, but
cops.
then I changed my mind. They are the buddy
They're the
cops.
little buddy cop movie in the middle of Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
They're both
Yeah.
princes, right?
Wait, but
Princes
which
of
one's
their
the
respective
kingdoms
They're both
badass
in-
and which one's by the book?
I think, I think
That's the
Legolas
buddy
is more
cop
by the
film.
book.
Gimli's
Yeah.
bad cop.
There's that part where
Gimli is
Aragorn
definitely
asks
bad
for their
cop.
guns and their badges, and they both
Yeah.
go off and just slay like 60 orcs, you know, make up for it.
We don't need our
Yeah.
guns and our
Jesus.
badges.
They had guns?
We could do
Yeah,
this
they
on
use
our own.
axes and bows. They're like, this is a fucking. Even though in the movie Aragorn says fire when they're shooting their bows, which doesn't make any sense. You know, it didn't
Yeah.
take place.
Fire.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
You don't think
No,
that's what
who's
they
your
said
real
back
honorable
then?
mention?
You fire
So
a bow,
my-
don't you?
No,
No,
Yeah, you definitely
you
fired a
knock
bow.
it and you loose it.
you loose it. Yeah, they would have said loose.
Oh.
But anyway,
Kidding.
Emily,
I thought I knew what I was
This
talking
is
about.
Middle Earth. This
but I
is not
don't.
Earth. This is Middle Earth, okay?
Okay, so my real honorable mention is Eowyn.
Beowulf.
Oh, yes.
I
Am
actually,
right?
I got,
Hey.
yes.
not for Aragorn though.
She's so hot for Aragorn, and then she realizes she's never gonna have him, and then she and Faramir end up together.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So,
Faramir's
That's
hot
not a
too.
bad
yeah.
like fallback, bro.
I think
oh yeah,
they are adorable.
He's legit, yeah. So the thing that pissed me off the most is Liv Tyler's character.
Yeah.
And
All right, talking about
Mac,
actors, maybe she wasn't
Yeah,
the
so-
best.
Wait, y'all don't like Arwen?
Well, no. This is Mac was like, don't talk bad about Liv, and I was like, I love Liv as a person.
No, I
However,
love Liv Tyler.
Arwen, sometimes you're like, first of all, why is Liv Tyler on every cover of the movies when her character is
You know
there
why.
for like total 2 minutes in
Yeah.
each movie?
Here's your
That
sword,
pissed me off.
Why ask questions to which you
So,
already know the
yeah,
answers?
I do, but this is me
Which
questioning
is even more than the books, though.
the patriarchy.
Yeah.
I know she's not even. Yeah, I think that she has. I won't argue that she's not important because she is. However,
But yeah, the scene where she saves Frodo and takes him to Rivendell,
Yeah,
it's not
there
even
are
her in the
some-
book.
Oh, where she's
there's some super important parts. Well, no, and the movie, I think she's just there for sex appeal, straight up. But Eowyn is so much more badass than
Yeah.
all. I mean, she sneaks into battle. She takes Mary with her.
yeah, he becomes her squire
she
or
kills a
something.
ring wraith.
Yeah, it's dope.
They're the OG
that part's
like
pretty
Brienne
cool.
and Podrick.
Yeah, she's. They're the ones that they were just straight up told, like, no, you're not gonna fight.
That's
You're
true.
not strong enough. You're not tall enough. You're a woman. Like, you can't come with us. And she's like, fuck that.
They took down an enemy that not even Gandalf could
Yeah.
fathom.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
And that was the most
Yeah, the Witch
epic
King
part in
breaks
the
Gandalf's
movie.
staff towards
That's
the
so-
end.
That is wild.
So
Yeah.
random.
The most epic
that's
part
true.
of the movie was whenever the ring wraith was like, no man can kill me. And she like throws her helmet off
Yeah.
and she was like, I am no man. And I
And
was like, yeah, bitch, get him.
It's weird. There's such a strong feminist message in just that very one part
That's
of
what I'm
the whole
saying.
story.
No
Just
inclusion
that
for
part.
like
That's
the
the
whole
only part.
trilogy, but then very
Yes.
strong feminist message right there.
I would have chosen
Emily,
her
shut up.
as...
I'm trying to talk about feminism. Emily, shut up.
I would have chosen her as my favorite character had she had more... Like, she's just not as prominent as some of the other characters.
but she's dope, though, for sure. She
No,
could
for
win.
sure.
She could win, like, most dope category. Like, she's pretty badass.
She's so badass.
Do we want to do any more honorable mentions?
Yes, absolutely. My fucking boy, shout outs. Screamo Wormtongue.
Boo.
Grandma
Oh,
Wormtongue.
God.
He's,
What
so
the most
gross.
obvious villain name ever?
he's
Yeah.
in competition for top
Wormtongue.
2 most disgusting people in Lord of the Rings.
My
Yes.
my right hand man.
Yes.
Yeah, he
It's
is.
either-
he's
The way-
fucking
Until he
awful.
kills you.
Whenever he hits on
Yeah.
Eowyn, it's like, it's so
Dude, I
creepy.
hate that part. It's
So
almost
creepy.
as bad as the tomato scene of Denethor. Both of those guys, both those guys are my top 2 of just creepy assholes. I hate those dudes so fucking
Also, though,
bad.
like-
But they did a good job.
They did a good job.
Who
Yeah, I'm like,
would trust a dude named Grandma Wormtongue? Who would trust that guy?
Yeah,
I'd
it's
be
absurd.
upset with my parents if when I came to consciousness, they were like, "Hey, this is your disgusting fucking name.
Yeah.
Here it is. Enjoy it."
you know who would trust that guy? King Theoden of Rohan.
What an idiot.
No honorable
dumb
mention for
asshole.
that guy.
What a dumb asshole.
He has flaws.
Who, Theoden?
Theoden he has so many flaws. Oh my
He's
gosh.
like a good guy that just doesn't know the right way to do things.
Hey,
He has to be
but he answers the
convinced-
call when it's important.
That's
Damn
true.
straight he does.
When his back's
Yeah.
against the wall and to save all of mankind, he has to do that. Yeah, he'll
Yeah.
do it, I guess.
He was like, no, they didn't come help us. I'm not fucking going over there. And it wasn't until that they actually lit in the movies, because in the books I think they were already lit.
Yeah.
But once they lit the fires, and Aragorn comes running in, and he was like, that fire,
Yeah.
like, let's just go. And then he's like, okay, let's do
That's
this.
another strong case for Pippin, by the way, is getting the
Aragorn.
beacons
Yeah.
lit. Like Pippin does so
Yeah.
much awesome stuff with
Oh,
his
yeah.
with his
Yes.
con-
Oh yeah, because Denethor doesn't want
He's
to light
just
the
a
beacons,
sneaky
right?
little boy, dude.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
so
that's
good
true.
at it.
Is Pippin possibly the
Unfortunately,
best
that
character?
was only a movie
Pippin
thing.
saves the day.
Did
dude.
we talk about
is.
how Pippin has the best
Pippin
song?
saves the day so many times.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and you need to talk about
Because-
songs. Yeah, because
Such a
it's
good
such a
soundtrack.
song.
So
Insane.
undeserving of that.
Literally, the universe exists because of like the gods singing it into
Correct.
existence. in Lord of
Yeah,
the Rings.
music plays a huge part. I'm not gonna lie. When
I
I read the
also-
books, I just skip all the poems. I skip all the songs, bro. I
Yeah, oh,
can't
for
do
sure.
it. I can't do it in my head. I need to listen
sure.
to it. It's just hard.
The
But,
audiobooks are really good for that.
Oh, do they? Yeah, that,
Oh,
that
yes,
actually
they
sounds like
sing
It's a
it.
lot better, yeah.
one advantage of the
It
audiobooks
was
is
so
that.
lackluster when I read it myself.
Now, when you're reading,
the
you're like,
audiobook-
what is this
Okay.
shit? Come on, bro.
There's a good version of the audiobooks with like ambiance and like sound effects and stuff. It's really good. Well, as far as honorable mentions go, we have the social media where, like you were saying, Mr. Mack, who's been on our Futurama and Community episodes, Jeff Mack.
I love that guy.
I don't even think we should count. We shouldn't even count this. Oh, he's great, but he says whoever Liv Tyler plays. So I mean, he's not really.
Yes.
He doesn't really.
So
Jeez.
I told him, wait until you hear what I have to say. And he said, don't talk bad about my girl Liv. And I didn't really have bad things to say
Yeah,
about
all you had to
Liv,
say was that she was just.
Arwen.
You were just saying she's like there for like sexual
She's there for
appetites.
sex appeal. That's
She
Yeah,
it.
didn't,
sex
she
appeal.
didn't live up to. She didn't live
All right, well,
up to
Darwin.
it.
Ah.
She didn't.
And then Nick Armstrong, who we plan to have on a future episode, who was our first Patreon subscriber and helped generate the Carol Baskin bonus episode.
Love that guy. I love that
Lord.
guy too.
Yeah. Oh, Nick is amazing. He said, as a kid, it's always been Legolas. Legit wanted to be. He
Who's
said,
this
I
guy?
wanted to
Boo.
be. He
Yes.
said, I wanted to be an archer because of him. The first time I tried, though, I realized I was left-handed when shooting, and it was awful. My hair, skin, and face couldn't compete with him either, so I gave up real quick.
Yeah.
I
I think we've talked about
Legolas is
this
definitely
on
a favorite, but I think he's overrated.
No, he's definitely overrated. He's cool.
Nick
he's
Armstrong
cool.
also said
Still
that
overrated.
he was like a cheat code in the video games. Like, he's very good.
No,
Yeah, no, he's OP.
in the video games, Gandalf, dude.
This
So,
is directly
we
to
need-
Nick right here. I 100% understand that. I bought a bow and arrow and I went in the backyard and shot it at the fence. And I wasn't
Because of Legolas?
And I wasn't. Yeah, no, straight up. The first D&D character I made was an elven ranger which didn't really. It
Amazing.
was just because I was like, that's the archer and that's an elf.
Yeah.
Like I was
You know what's
definitely
funny?
in the
Legit.
same boat. I completely
Well,
understand.
I
that.
loved.
My D&D character is an elf because of.
There you go.
Shoots a bow.
Well,
So-
see, John and I prefer the dwarves.
Yeah, I was 10 years old when I made my first D&D character, and I made it a grumpy dwarf based off
Yeah.
of Gimli. I'd seen the cartoon.
Exactly.
Oh
I'd
my
seen
God.
the animated version when I was
See,
10.
So I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and I have 3 younger brothers. And so when we would watch the movies together, I was at the age where I was like, boys are so cute, right? So
Orlando Bloom.
I just wanted to watch.
Too, yeah.
I didn't care for any of the battle scenes at that age, and that is all my brothers watched. They would skip through all of the love scenes.
Legolas
and I was
owned
so
things.
pissed.
Legolas,
And,
every scene
and
with
I-
Legolas is a love scene.
I was I had the hots for Legolas and Aragorn, and that's
Oh, nice.
it. Like that's all. The only reason why I wanted to watch the
Well,
movies.
Orlando Bloom
and then I
still
read
looks
the
good.
book.
Do you think Orlando Bloom looks better as
Yes.
Legolas or as William Turner from?
Oh, from Pirates of the Caribbean?
Legolas. I
Nah,
like
the little bit of
blonde,
facial
golden
hair is nice, I think.
I like him as a pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Yeah.
like the way it tickles my neck. Wait.
So I think going back and watching these now, because I hadn't seen them, I read the books and I never went back and watched the movies, like within these last 6 years or so. And rewatching the movies again, I was like, okay, I remember why I hated watching these movies so much was because I hate the orcs, I hate the orcai, I hate watching the horses die, I hate watching the elephants
shit. They
die.
look getting speared.
There's so many things where I was like, I don't want to watch this. Can they just kiss?
Yeah. There is fanfic.
Kiss and
There
make
is
up.
fanfic for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how my childhood was made from these videos.
So amazing.
Let's talk about, to get a little grip and kind of talk about them more, we'll do the categories. So who do we think, let's start with aesthetic. That's the most basic, right? Who do we think is just looks the coolest or most interesting out of all the characters? I think
Once-
Gollum's pretty gross and not really going to win for
I
this
like
one.
the way that he is.
Oh, he's cool. And I love
No.
the way that, what's his name, plays him.
I think Galadriel's aesthetic is the best.
Oh, Galadriel
Oh,
looks
she looks dope.
Oh
Yes.
god,
delicious. Cake.
Such a good.
The Hobbits are basic, right? I mean, they're not, there's nothing
No,
really
I
right
like
home
no.
about
There's
it.
something about
Okay.
being casual though. Business casual. You
But
know?
I have to say, in the last scene where Sam comes back and he's with his family, even the cute little girl that's his daughter has hairy ass feet.
Oh, yeah.
You got a problem with that?
That is
That's just
that
the Hobbit
is
thing.
like that's
Yeah.
true. I know, but that's just like it. If you notice it, it's speaking to the level of like
Okay.
costuming
Detail.
that
Yeah,
they do.
for
Like
sure.
That's a fair trade-off for never having to wear shoes.
Never have to wear shoes.
So-
Amazing.
True.
Amazing.
I would take
So
it.
without
to
a
say
doubt.
Galadriel, what about Sauron? Saruman, is he Saruman the White? Looks
Bro,
pretty dope.
get it right.
Saruman,
Put some respect
which
on my
one are
name.
they?
What I like about
one are
Saruman is even when he is
He looks very scary.
not even that, when he's Saruman the White, right? They refer to him as Saruman the White because they think he's still a good guy. When they first confront him, his robes are not pure white like Gandalf the Whites are. And I think that's kind of
And
cool.
like his hair and beard have like
Little bits of gray in it. Yeah, so I think it
Like
hints
Whereas
salt
when
and pepper.
Gandalf is Gandalf the White, it is pure white.
pure. So I think that's really cool
Yeah.
thing they did with him.
That is
being
very
said,
cool. Yeah.
how many old white dudes have I seen in robes, man? I mean, let's get realistic. All.
So we'll say what? I don't know.
I love Galadriel.
Galadriel.
Just
Looks the
perfectly
coolest.
braided hair, just awesome flowing elvish garb.
Well, I mean, like
Yeah.
Matt has said, she's canonically the most beautiful creature. In
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't.
it's
you
hard
cannot
to
contest
compete
that.
with that.
All right.
But
So
I feel like the elves in general are.
yeah.
But even
like
even among
when you
elves,
see them, everything seems so slow and
but yeah,
flowy and
everywhere when
Yeah.
elves are outside of elven lands, they're tens, but in elven territory, she's a 10.
yeah, that's the problem.
You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
exactly.
She is
Which would
she
make
is
her a
the
20?
epitome of
She's
beauty
like a
in Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And even before Middle Earth, when they were in the lands before. That being said, best aesthetic is Samwise Gamgee in the stolen goblin armor.
Oh,
You know,
dude, yeah.
whenever
When they-
he's
when they
like
steal armor, it's
coming up
pretty
the
cool. Oh,
stairs,
man. He's got, like,
he's
that
like,
beak.
"Arr."
So
yeah, it's,
cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this armor? This
So
tiny
ridiculous.
little armor that they had to make or whatever.
So good.
Yeah.
So, Lord of the Rings, this is going to be a hard one, I think, but it's had such a huge impact on fantasy and other literature even.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
like, which character, I was talking about how Gimli is so archetypal for, like, what we see as dwarves and almost everything. Which character had the biggest impact, you think, on fantasy moving forward out of all of our characters?
Out of who? What are the choices?
Elves?
Samwise?
Right?
Elves, wizards. I don't know how Gollum necessarily
We're talking
fits
about
into this.
like one of the characters that we've decided upon.
Yeah,
I
one of the
think that's
characters
what
we
I was gonna-
picked.
I think Samwise does a pretty good job of embodying everything that a hobbit is, right?
But I'm
Or a
saying-
halfling.
So I'm
I'd say
saying,
Sam isn't like your standard hero.
but I
He's,
think
he's a
Pippin-
hero
He's-
for a halfling.
I would actually argue that if
Or
you're going to
Hobbit,
talk about
rather,
what
sorry.
people, small folk are usually depicted in a lot of fantasy as being more mirthful and stuff like that. So I would say Pippin is actually closer to like
Oh, you know what?
the
That's true.
impact. Yeah.
Courageous, like...
So Pippin has had a big impact on, fantasy in that regard.
And
the problem is they all have. Hobbits, elves, wizards, like... These
Yeah,
things,
in
these things are
general.
insane.
I'm trying to think of how Gollum might have had that lasting impact. I mean, I don't know. I guess he's a very complex character. I mean, I don't know.
He is.
Because
I
fantasy
feel like
fantasy
he, like,
wasn't taken
murdered
seriously.
his best friend / possible brother on his birthday because he wanted the ring so damn
Yeah.
bad.
But I'm saying I think that fantasy
That's
wasn't
intense.
taken as seriously, and I think that he is a very complex character for sure.
That's true.
yeah, I think
But do we-
I like that he brought a level of complexity, like the duality of someone not necessarily being true evil or true good, because a lot of the
Yeah,
characters
Yeah.
in Lord of the Rings, it's like this guy's a good guy, this guy's a bad
Oh,
guy.
for sure.
Whereas
Yeah,
the
for
entire
sure.
Very
time with
much so.
Smeagol v.
Yeah.
Gollum, you're like he's kind of back and forth the whole time.
It's basically just
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Him and Frodo,
So-
right?
Yeah.
Everybody
So
else
maybe-
knows
He's
where they're at.
like he's schizo, and
So maybe
I
Pippin.
think honestly, at the time that these books were written, it's almost like obviously this is a time where psychology as a science was
True.
getting big and
yeah.
trusted, and just being
Damn.
able to analyze those kind of characters like that. Like Gollum is a textbook study of
Yeah, for sure.
schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder, like where you're
Are we qualified to make those sorts of statements? I don't.
Oh, okay. I have a minor in psychology.
Okay,
actually,
thank you.
Credibility
Thank you.
established.
I just want
really
to make sure
do,
we can
but-
back it up here because I don't have any knowledge of any of that stuff.
But I mean, I think it's fun in a way to analyze them like that because
yeah.
with Gollum, because he is so complex, it's like trying to understand his
It brings you deeper into the book.
his internal struggle with he wants to be good, but then he's got this bad side of him that comes forward so much that the original Smeagol struggles to get out, and it's like he can't.
Also, I have a degree in history, and I just realized that Middle Earth is Earth from the past. I just figured that out because I have a degree in history.
Credibility
All
established.
right,
I'm qualified, yeah.
Brandon, as an environmental scientist, what do you have to say about
As
the
an
ecology?
environmental scientist,
about
the
Ents?
struggle of the Ents, is honestly a very progressive view of environmental degradation for the
That's
time.
true.
Oh, no, for
That is
sure.
very
Yes.
true.
That's true.
God dang, was
Because they get
Tolkien.
so mad with the way that Treebeard talks about them as friends. He's like, I knew him. That was my friend.
There are some definitely eugenics type stuff going on in Lord of the Rings, it feels like. But I think there's also a lot of positive messages is what we're kind of figuring out here. I don't know. Some good stuff
Yeah.
in there for sure.
So
Yeah.
we were originally talking about which character promoted an archetype to or created an archetype.
Who influenced fantasy? Who influenced fantasy
Yeah.
the most, I would say. Yeah.
Um,
I like Pippin as that choice. I think
I like Pippin
I
as
said,
well. I think Pippin plays this
Yeah.
the kind of the halfling bard, if you will. I don't know.
The more mischievous.
Yeah.
Who can kind of pull it out in the 11th hour and get stuff done. There's a lot of characters like that. They're goofballs, but then at the end end up saving the day a little bit, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Most complex character. We said Gollum is very complex.
He's very complex.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, Sam's got some depth to him too.
Yeah. I really I don't think I mentioned it earlier. That was one of my favorite parts is his speech in the second movie that he gives. I think that's really, he's trying to motivate
He's a hype
Frodo
man.
to keep going.
Is that all he is? Just a
Yeah.
hype man to you?
He's a hype man.
He's one of the greatest hype men of all time. If that's what we're
of all time.
If that's what we're
For
gonna
sure.
label him
Yeah,
as.
He carried his bro up the mountain, like.
For sure. What about
Like I do think Saruman is kind of complex for a villain, but
because he's not really just bad. He's like
but it is very much a story about the hero.
Oh,
so
yeah, villains are very cut and
like
dry.
insanely more focus.
The last one that I was thinking plot drivers, but I think Tolkien does such a good job of weaving all these characters into the plot. It's very hard to say.
Part of the reason I finally went with Pippen was through plot, because he does do so much.
Yeah.
Some of the decisions that they have to make as a fellowship because of what he did.
Yeah. Pippin's very important to the plot for sure.
And he just does a bunch of stuff.
Needing to go a different direction because of the crystal.
You've got these two kind of major plots that develop. One being with the Fellowship and the other being with Sam, Frodo, and Gollum.
Yeah.
And I think Pippin is a huge driver on that front with the Fellowship. And it's
Sam and Gollum are like pulling on each other back and forth a little
Gollum,
bit.
and Frodo are just like this. Yeah, they're just like this single entity almost the entire time. Where you have like the radicals of Gollum being what he is and Sam being what he is. And then Frodo right there in the middle.
Frodo in the middle.
Yeah, Frodo just being pulled back and forth.
Yeah. Well, and it's important, too, with the way that the books are written, is that it's not... he'll tell the Fellowship story, and then he'll go back and tell the Frodo part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's not mixed in. So then, I think whenever I read the books, I was like, wait, didn't this already happen? And then I realized how he was.
It makes it hard to pick who's going to be like, or who is the greatest plot driver, I guess, when there's multiple plots.
Hard. Yeah.
They're so
good. But I
good.
mean, I think for arguing for Pippin is that the Fellowship ends up doing a good job of being a distraction.
Yes.
So that
Pippin
Frodo can finish
Pippin
the
does
job.
a great job of being a distraction. Alone from the Fellowship. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's a very good book as far as like I said, making sure that all the characters. It's an ensemble cast, and they're all very integral to the plot. Like that's pretty crazy.
Sure. No, he did a good job.
That's not always the case. We talk about characters all the time who are just more side characters, and I don't feel like any of these characters are.
Mm-hmm.
See, that was hard too, because I was even thinking whenever we all named our characters, I was like, oh, we didn't pick any of the main characters, but really we didn't pick the main actors outside of
Gandalf,
Sam. Like, we didn't choose Legolas or Aragorn or
we didn't even give an honorable
Gimli.
mention to Gandalf. We didn't even...
I honestly...
Gandalf. Like, we didn't pick
I thought
the main guy.
Gandalf. I was actually surprised when he didn't.
Different white wizard dog.
We'll see. Yeah, I thought about Gandalf. He's definitely my favorite character, but I wanted some villain representation. And like I said, I'm obviously not going to go with Sauron.
Right. I forgot to also mention, I did social media. I also mentioned my kids' favorite choices. I've told them Lord of the Rings is a bedtime story multiple times because they ask for an encore every time I finish telling the story. And when I asked Jack most recently, actually Chris was privy to this, I think. He said that Gollum was his favorite character.
He did.
And we said why? And do you remember what he said?
Because he likes the darkness.
Yeah, my 3-year-old son is a Hot Topic shopping like edgelord.
Damn.
And
so Jack is an edgelord and Ellie is a furry.
Yeah. Do we? Well, yeah, because Eleanor likes Sesshomaru from Inuyasha. I think she said Sam. I think she said Sam is her favorite character because
she's a rational-minded individual.
Yeah.
With a bright future.
Are you saying Jack's not?
Well,
we've trashed Jack too many times on this podcast. I can't allow it.
Poor Jack.
No, Jack can never listen to this.
When he listens to these, when he's of age, when he's like, oh yeah, my dad used to do podcasts and he used to talk about me all the time.
He's like, oh, by the way, he's like Gollum, his favorite character. He'll save us all one day because who really put that ring into the volcano? It was Gollum. Let's not forget that, guys.
Yeah,
Let's
I guess
not
that's
forget
true.
that.
He did. In the book, it was by accident, and in the movie, he got pushed. So
either way, but if he hadn't done
he
that,
was the last one to touch it.
if he had not done that, though, Frodo might have gotten out of there with that
Well,
ring.
you
I got
could
a
say that,
question.
but like Sam probably would have like made himself all like big,
Eventually, Sam would have done
Sam is
something.
too much of a loyal friend. He wouldn't have done
box
that.
him out.
Should
Although, I will
Frodo
say-
have died when he tackled?
That's a good question.
Well, in the movie.
Yes.
That's because it didn't happen like that in the book.
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
the movie, they just made it more suspenseful.
Yeah.
They couldn't kill him off in the movie.
The thing
'cause he
is,
wasn't dead in
that
the
question's
book.
irrelevant because Sam would never have let Frodo die.
That's true.
So Frodo
he would have
puts
ended
the
up
ring
jumping
on.
in
How does
too.
Sam stop him? Sam can't stop him.
Oh,
He's gone.
well, I'm not talking about that anymore.
Well, he was following the footprints.
That's
Someone
what
was
I'm
following
saying.
the footprints,
Sam
right?
would be like Elrond. He wouldn't be able to forcefully stop Frodo because he wouldn't want to.
Also, I need to make sure this makes it in the podcast. Bran and I, we were, we knew of each other, but we became friends. We bonded over Lord of the Rings because
That's very true. Eighth grade advisory.
Yep, I was moved to his advisory after some behavioral
Mishap?
incidents that I committed in middle school, and I saw.
I
that
remember that radical Jonathan.
Yeah, and I saw that he was reading Lord of the Rings, and we started talking about Lord of the Rings almost every day. We would joke about it and all kinds of stuff. So I became friends with Brandon over Lord of the Rings.
Later that year,
That's
you
legit.
bought me the compiled version of all three books for my birthday.
Yeah, the huge ass, big one.
Aww.
Yeah, I'm a good
That's
guy.
so sweet.
All right,
Well,
relax,
when you
kid.
say it like that,
Okay, no, well that was all to distract us because we have a huge decision to make.
No, it's so simple. It's so
The
simple.
best character in Lord of the Rings is so difficult.
It really isn't. It's
it
actually
is.
the easiest thing in the world.
I know what I'm choosing.
normally I am like 100% certain by this point, but I'm still kind of iffy.
You guys are cowards.
am I
Chris, where you at?
allowed to pick a character that none of us picked?
You
Yes,
can do that,
I'm
but you won't win.
legitimately thinking about it right
It
now.
won't win, but you could.
All right, I'm gonna try to pick the same pick that you're thinking of, Chris. So
All
it'll
right,
win.
let's do it.
Myself as well.
Before we do the countdown, I think this is one of the first times where we all picked a character, but then did a great job of talking about almost every single character.
That's true.
That's true.
We have definitely covered every.
So you're
important
saying this is the
character.
first good episode of your favorite characters?
Well, no, I feel like we did that with Star Wars also, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Star Wars, because you have to. I think both of these things you kind of have
There's
to.
so many
like,
good side characters.
All right, y'all ready for the countdown?
It's
Let's do
very
it.
simple.
I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm ready.
All right. Okay.
John's
All
not
right.
ready.
I'm not ready. I don't know.
It's simple. It's so simple, and if you don't know, you're a coward or a moron. So let's go.
All right.
Yeah, it's
do it.
obviously
All
the
right, I
one
think I
that we
know.
didn't pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
The
go.
one. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Gandalf.
Smeagol.
Pippen.
Oh shit!
Dang it.
What did everybody say?
Chris changed it up. He really
He
did
really
it.
did
God
it.
damn.
I was really thinking you were gonna do it.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let's fix our mistake. What did you say, Emily?
I said Pippen.
I said Pippen also, so it looks like Pippen won.
Oh shit.
Wait, who'd you say,
I
Brent?
said Smeagol.
Oh, I said Samwise. Fuck.
I said
okay.
Gandalf.
You really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay.
So
I was
Dude,
with-
I didn't actually see your message.
I tried to
Shit.
message Bran privately to get him to say Gandalf with me.
that's not how this show
Oh my
works.
God.
You
Collusion.
losers.
Who's paying these guys off?
No, actually, if I was picking the characters that we debated, I would have picked Pippin as well. He was definitely the.
No, it was
you
in
know
between
what?
Pippen
Right
and
there.
Sam for sure.
I was between Smeagol and Sam.
I thought Smeagol and Sam when I came into this. I really did think Gollum and Sam are the best. Honestly, Emily convinced me Pippin. I really
Pippin's a
like.
good
I
one.
didn't
Pippin's
think
a good
about
one.
how
You know
great
what?
Pippin was. He's a great character.
I'm going to brag for a second and say that this is 3 out of 4 for me.
Oh,
fuck.
That I've done such a
All
good
right.
job.
Cut the
Oh, well, then you
cast.
voted for
it.
Cut the cast. We're done here. Are we done here?
I can't believe it. We did it again. We figured out who the best character is in whatever we're talking about, despite the podcast being called Your Favorite Character Sucks. Now the only question is, what should we do next? You can help us decide by following us at YFCS Pod on Instagram and Twitter and telling us which show, movie, series, book you think we should do. Until then, hit that subscribe button and catch us on the next episode. Thanks for listening.